Hey, what's up you guys? So I am refilming this video because I didn't like how it turned out originally, but today we're going to be talking about Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. So it's been about 2 weeks since I read this, so it's not as fresh on my mind. And I also have read the next few books in the series, so as far as speculation goes, I'm not going to be doing a lot of speculating as to what's going to happen in the rest of the series in this video because I can't. This book, if you don't know what it's about, it is about an assassin who has spent a year slaving away for her crimes of, killing people, and she gets asked if she would like to participate in this competition to become the king's champion and have a chance for freedom. And so naturally she accepts, and that is what this book kind of follows. Overall, I really enjoyed this book. I definitely loved the characters a lot. I liked the backstory that they had, and I like how their backstory became known to us. It wasn't super dumped out. It did kind of unfold naturally, learning about our different characters. I also really enjoyed the setting. I thought that it was an interesting fantasy world. It felt like a fun place to kind of just spend some time and discover. I liked how with the world building, we kind of started off smaller, like with a book like Game of Thrones, you get thrown in really quick. But with this book, I felt like you got thrown in kind of slower. You started off in one little area and you slowly moved out from there. And so I did really enjoy that as well. So those were my two favorite things really, were the character and the world. There wasn't much that I really disliked about this book. I did feel like our villain was kind of underdeveloped, but that's kind of not something that bothers me in this book as much because our villain is kind of like an overarching like series villain, you know how that goes. And so it's more of, you get this sinister vibe from him, but you don't know what his plans are. And I kind of like that because it's not like in Harry Potter where like you know what Voldemort wants to do. He wants to come back and he wants to kill everyone. But like in this, it feels like he wants to conquer everywhere, but that feels like something that's far off. It doesn't feel like that's something that's gonna happen tomorrow. And it's something that like, it just feels like someone else's problem in this book. And I do kind of like that. And I think it really leads to good speculation for the next few books as far as what's going to happen with that. So now that you know my kind of general thoughts about the book, let's get into a little bit more of a spoilery discussion about Throne of Glass. So if you haven't read it yet and don't want to be spoiled, leave. If you don't care, stick around. Let's start off with the opening scene in Endovier and just all the rage that you get when you first meet Duke Parrington. Like, oh my god. I remember hating him so much so quickly, and I thought that was something really strong that Sarah J. Maas did, was inspire that kind of like emotional reaction really quickly. And so I thought she had a really strong opening scene there with that. In that scene, we're kind of introduced to some major characters. We're introduced to Dorian, Cole, and Selena. Selena is a badass. My one caveat to like, I think the characters were awesome in this book, is I feel like Selena, we didn't get to see her be awesome as much, and I wish that we could have gotten that a little bit more. Dorian is probably my favorite character in the series as a whole so far. He seems to like go through so much. He seems morally confused because, his dad is kind of not great as far as kings go, but he, like what does he do, Like, he's the prince. He can't just be like,
I don't support you, Dad.
It's like, his dad's the king. It's like, what do you do? Like, you can't like be a traitor and then lose your throne and your potential to undo the bad, but you also can't undo the bad right now. So it's one of those things where like, I thought his position was just rough. And the last person we're introduced to is Cole. Cole is my least favorite character in the series. He's too like brooding and too headstrong and set in his ways for me. So that's kind of just, he kind of sets me off a little bit. And when it comes down to the, love triangle in this book, because it is kind of set up as a love triangle, Dorian always seemed like the better guy to me. After the whole Endovier mine thing, we get to go to Rifthold, which is Adarlan's capital, and this is where this competition is happening. It's where the glass castle is. Selena is told to kind of lie about who she is, which I think is a solid plan. I understand that she's like super proud, and I'm like,
honey, just lie. Just lie so you can steal to get your way.
I understand that you want to be like the baddest bitch in town, but like, honey, lie. So that's kind of what happens there, and we get to meet the other champions that are brought in, and we get to meet Duke Parrington's champion, Kane, and Kane is terrifying. Well, not really, because Selena's a badass, and she's like, I could take him in a fight right now. Let's do it. Which I love that kind of spunky attitude, but like, girl, you just came back from somewhere where you almost died. Let's try to be realistic here, honey. I thought that the whole meeting the champions thing was a cool scene, especially because the king was there, and we got that kind of fear and intimidation from him. And I just kind of liked Selena's overall reaction introduction to the king and how that whole scene kind of went, because I think that kind of set up her character a little bit more. It helped develop her and it helped to foreshadow things that might come in the future. So after that happens, the competition begins and everyone starts training and it's all fun and game. Now, while this training is going on, some of the champions are dying, and so we've got this underlying mystery of what is going on there. And that was probably another one of my favorite aspects, was that little mystery element. I always love when authors can incorporate mystery really well into their stories. Like Six of Crows did it really well, especially with their characters' backstories, with that element of like, I want to know why this character is the way that they are. And so like I was constantly flipping the pages. And so in this one, I wanted to know what that mystery was. I wanted to know what was killing these champions. There were just so many pieces of this puzzle that didn't seem to go together. You know, there was Elena, there was the word marks, there was Nehemia, there was the beast. You know, there was just so many things that were like kind of layered together, and there was Cain layered together in this mystery, and so I kind of liked that. And I liked how in the end you got to see all of the pieces kind of fit together and what was going on, while at the same time not getting the full picture as far as Elena is concerned. Elena was probably one of the things that confused me the most about this book, because I didn't understand her role, and I was kind of curious as to where her role would lead her in the rest of the series. And so that's probably like my biggest underlying question when it came out of this book, was what's going to happen with Elena next. That mystery is happening, and then Dorian and Selena start to develop a little bit of a relationship, and I was so here for it. When Dorian came in and just heard her playing the piano and she told him about Sam, I honestly like loved that scene so much. I thought that like it felt so raw and so real and so emotional. I always love moments like that in books. The next scene that I really liked with them was the billiard scene, where he did the stereotypical guy thing and he, you know, got behind her and put his arms on her and showed her how to shoot the pool stick. I absolutely love that scene. I just love him and Selena in this book together. I thought they were really cute, and I just liked their developing relationship, and I liked how it kind of opened her eyes to a darling, and like they're not all evil. And so I liked how it kind of painted this picture of not everyone being, you know, one way or the other, and so there was kind of a lot of gray area. If you can't tell, it is a different day because my camera died and I only have one battery, so I really need to like think about getting more, but it's fine. Let's just get back into the book. So if I left off where I thought I did yesterday, I believe that I left off talking about Nehemia, so let's talk about Nehemia. Nehemia was probably one of my favorite characters in the book, as well as Dorian. I really liked Nehemia's and Selena's relationship. I liked how it developed and how they came to be friends, and I also really liked Nehemia's overall role. I liked how she wasn't very trusting and how she did keep her secrets. You know, I like that kind of like motivation for her, and how she was just so strong and she really cared about her people, and I just thought she was such a good person. And so next character I wanted to discuss was Kaltain. She was another female in this book, and she was into Dorian. Well, she was into his power. She wanted to be queen. That was kind of her goal. Please don't attack my leg. Caddies, what are you doing? Next, let's talk about Kaltain. So she was another female in this book. Her relationship with Selena was definitely different, because Kaltain wanted to be queen. She wanted to marry Dorian. She wanted that power. She was power hungry, and I really liked her ambition, and I thought that she was a very interesting character. She is being pursued by Duke Parrington, and she wanted to be seen by the queen. She wanted to be seen by Dorian. She wanted to be important, and I felt like she didn't hide it that well, or like, I know that she wanted Dorian to like her, but she just didn't hide how power hungry she was, and so I liked that. Next, let's talk about the overall end of the book, because we've done this competition. Now we're with Cain and Selena. They're the only two left, and Cain has been very suspicious this entire time as far as our little mystery concerning the murders is concerned. So we've got Cain versus Selena, and they go head to head. And their final fight scene I thought was really great, and my favorite thing about it was how Kaltain was tricked into poisoning Selena beforehand, and that was the only way Cain would have won is with that trick, that deception. And so I loved that really showed how strong Selena was, and I liked how that overall scene went. I did think that it was a little bit confusing with like what Elena was doing, but I did really enjoy it. So yeah, that's where the book leaves off. Paltane's in prison. Selena is the king's champion. She tells Dorian that she can't really see him, and that makes sense. I think that that was a really strong move on her part. You know, that would be like dating your boss's son. Like, that's weird. And it's kind of just like an abuse of power. So definitely makes sense that that happened. And I think we're on track for Cole and Selena to get together. I don't really want that to happen, but it's fine. And so now on to Crown of Midnight. Oh, and if you like this video, like, subscribe, comment, all that jazz. I post videos sometimes on this channel. I probably will be doing it every day whenever I post this because Bookmas. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!